Let's start it off with a thank you to our sponsors, Fixed Ops Marketing, Traver Connect, Parts Edge, and Dynatron Software. All these companies working to increase your bottom line. Make sure you reach out to them today. A big thank you to Quantum 5. Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast is powered by Quantum 5, the first ever sustainable training system for automotive. Our guest, Elizabeth Martin, manager of the BDC at the Scott Clark Auto Group. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. Today we have with us Elizabeth Martin, who is the Service BDC Manager for the Scott Clark Auto Group. Elizabeth, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, David. I'm really excited to be here today.
Excellent. We are excited to have you and to learn some more things about a service BDC, something that is typically pretty underrated in dealerships, or sometimes non-existent in dealerships. So give us a little bit of background on yourself and how you came to be in the position you're in.
So I have a bachelor and I have a master's degree from Western Carolina University. My original plan was to try to get into human resources, and while trying to find a position, my now husband, who was my fiance back then, told me that Scott Clark was hiring for the call center, the client care coordinator, and I needed a job. And he told me about this, and I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of interested. Let me get some more information about it. And I talked with Sarah Van Tyne. We had an interview, and I pretty much told her, I have no intention of staying here. This is not what I want to do. This is not what I planned for my career, to be in the auto industry. And before I knew it, I started working there in 2016. I really fell in love with it. I fell in love with everything about BDC. I fell in love with the automotive industry. And then fast forward to 2021, I became the Service BDC Manager for Scott Clark Auto Group. And I'm really, really liking it so far still.
It's it is funny how the automotive business pulls you in like that.
Yeah.
Not something that a lot of us ever intended to be a lifetime career. Right. And then you get in and realize that it is a good business with some great people and great potential, and a business where you can go a lot of places, both within the dealership and within groups and things. There's a lot of opportunity out there. And we are certainly glad that you took this opportunity, and
I am too.
and decided to do this. So tell us a little bit about what you see as some of the challenges within a service BDC.
So where's the service BDC? Some of the challenges that we're facing right now is that we are incredibly slow right now. Mainly like phone traffic is what's so slow right now. And so that means we really have to push ourselves to make more outbound calls and try to get some of our customers back in for service, because we want to make sure the car stays well maintained, stays under the warranty. And a lot of it is having to explain to customers why it's so important to keep the car serviced and how it can keep the car running for a longer time, because what we're seeing now is that customers are now keeping the car even longer. And so which means that they're going to have to spend more money in repairs and maintenance to keep it running longer. So that's some of the difficulty we're facing right now, having to make more of those outbound calls, communicate with their customers, and really effectively explain to them why it's so important to come in.
Mm-hmm. So do you see the slowdown as being, is it a slowdown of actual business coming in, or a slowdown of people who are calling the dealership and getting to the dealership in other avenues?
I think it's more of a slowdown of people calling in. I don't think it has slowed down business at all. Historically, every year around January and February, it's like very, very slow, because most people are, back in school, back into life, if you want to say that, because, during the holidays, everybody has that time off, so it slows down. But typically when you get closer to the major holiday, things start to pick back up. People have more time to come in and get the car service.
Mm-hmm. So you're seeing more traffic through actual people using the online methods to make appointments and things.
Right.
And so in the outbound call strategy, what I heard there, which is a little different than a lot of service BDCs, is you're actually making outbound calls and trying to educate the customer on maintenance that's needed and things.
Yeah. And we also educate people on safety recall too, and we try to explain to them why that's so important as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that gets lost in a BDC is people think quote unquote call center, and you're just answering calls and you're making an appointment. And in the old days of the industry, with a sales BDC, that was the name of the game, right? Was get the appointment and get the person in the door. But it's really not what it's about now, right? You guys are the front lines of that relationship with the customer. And building that relationship on the phone before they ever arrive at the dealership. And what I've seen from well-run BDCs is that the customers come in asking for Elizabeth. Like, oh, I talked to Elizabeth. Is she here? I want to talk to her. Right. And then are surprised usually to find out that you guys work nowhere near where they're bringing their car.
Right.
So what are some of the things that you're doing with your team to build that up, to build that type of culture in?
So what I'm doing is I have been trying to do a weekly huddle. So every week we set up a time to try to do some team training, talk about things that we might need to improve on. We talk about maybe some new processes or processes that have been changed. We talk about what are some of the challenges that we might be facing. What can I do to help them face those challenges and get over that little bump? And I've also recently started doing this is I started putting out a quiz. Every week I give everybody a quiz. I put together a list of maybe 10 to 15 questions, multiple choice, and I ask them, hey, what's the process for scheduling a recall? How do we pull up a price quote? How do we handle customers that are upset, or how do we get them to a manager? How do we de-escalate situation? And I think that's a good way to help people continue to remember what to do and kind of like sharpen the skills a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I love that idea, and I was thinking that's probably one of the ways to find issues in your processes too, right? You put out a process that says, hey, what are the steps you go through to put in to get a customer a price quote, and maybe you find that there's an issue getting a hold of the parts department to get that price that they need for that price quote or something along that lines. I like that. It's a fun way to keep the team engaged and also try to poke holes in your processes also. Mm-hmm. So in your how many people are in your BDC?
Right now I have about 14.
Okay, so pretty large BDC. Yes. And what's the call volume typically that you guys are handling, either inbound or outbound?
Call volume, it varies from day to day. Inbound, we get a lot of inbound more than outbound because, a lot of people are going to call in about setting up an appointment, price quote, or just general questions about their vehicle, things of that nature. I want to say people probably average for inbound and outbound combined together, they probably average about 120 calls a day per person.
Okay. And that's the number that I was trying to get at, because I don't know if people realize like how many, if somebody thinks about their day and thinks about talking to somebody on the phone 120 times in a day, that's a lot of phone time. Right. So what are some of the things or the systems you use to help them stay on track with those calls?
So as far as like staying productive, you mean? Yeah,
because I imagine it's probably easy to make 20 calls and then go, I need to take a break and have that break turn into an hour of not doing anything.
Right. So I strongly encourage people in my department to take as many breaks as they need, because we all need a mental break. It is very tiring sitting at a computer all day and being on the phone all day. So if you need a break, or if you had a difficult customer, you're perfectly fine to get up and walk around, whatever you need to kind of like get back to where you need to be. As far as staying on track, we do have a sheet. We have two sheets. So we have a tick sheet. That's how you keep track of all the calls you get. So each time you get an inbound call, you mark it down. Outbound call, mark it down as well, and same for your appointment. And we do have some people in there that sometimes have difficulty trying to make sure they're on the right track of getting that certain amount of calls. Like, say one person wants to have 120 calls a day, and they're having a hard time meeting that call goal. So we have what's called a productivity management sheet, and it's broken down by each hour. So, for example, if they make 15 calls in an hour, then they're on the right track. And the next hour, they only have like 10 calls that hour, then they need to make up that difference in the next hour. So 15 plus 5 additional calls, we're on the right track. So it kind of helps them stay on track, and they see what right there on paper, like, oh, okay, I'm either way off track where I need to be, I need to get rolling, start making some calls or taking more inbound calls, or, oh, I'm on the right track, I don't have to bust my butt as hard to get back where I need to be.
Excellent. It's certainly helpful to have tools there for your team, right? To understand, it's easy to put a metric in place, but it's a lot harder to have them understand what that metric is and understand what they can do personally to stay within and on top of that metric.
I think it's good to have something that's visual right there in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what do you see as some of the biggest challenges that you face in the BDC? I'm sure that has probably changed over the last couple of years, but in the last 6 months or so, as things have kind of normalized out, if you will, what are some of the challenges that you and your team are facing?
As far as like over the phone, kind of hard to say. You know, as you know, there's COVID out there and everything. I mean, that was one of the biggest challenges we were facing with customers wanting to know, like, are we, sanitizing everything? What are we doing to help customers feel safe? Feel like that we care about their well-being and their health as well, the well-being of our employees. So that was one of the biggest challenges that we faced was COVID over the last 6 months or so. I honestly can't think of any other challenges right now.
Okay. And so with your team, what are you doing to keep them engaged and to continue to train them and give them opportunities? There's a big problem in every single industry with being able to get help. And so retention of our teams is paramount right now. What are some of the things that you and Scott Clark Auto Group are doing to retain the talent that they have?
To retain the talent?
Yeah.
So some of the things that we do is recognition. So if we have an employee that goes above and beyond, or a customer that wants to give them a big compliment, I will make it a big deal in the department, like, hey, everybody, so-and-so did just a great job. This customer wanted to praise them. Like, I try to recognize them. You want to always praise them in public and coach them private.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest things that I learned from Sarah, is always coach in private and praise in public. And just having a manager praise you in public like that, it's a huge compliment. It's like, wow, okay, they're actually paying attention to what I'm doing. They see that I'm working hard, I'm doing a great job, and everyone else recognizes that. And another thing that we do, we have one-on-one. So every month I do a one-on-one with each individual in the department. And I go over the metric and I look over to see if there's any windows of opportunities. If there's a window of opportunity, I tell them what they can do to get where they need to be. I also ask them, is there anything that I can do to help them move up, or is there anything I can do that would make them feel more prepared, I guess, like how to better handle calls and things like that.
Yep. Excellent. Yeah, that's important to always keep the employee engaged with you, with the team, obviously, to give them that praise, something that doesn't happen often enough in many organizations, but to also get that one-on-one time, where it's not just manager to team member, right? It's finding out what's going on in their lives and other challenges that they may have, and that's your opportunity to continue to connect with them, which then allows you the ability to get in there a little deeper with their training, with their skills development and things. Extremely important. You mentioned Sarah. I neglected to mention at the beginning that that for those that don't know out here listening, the Scott Clark Auto Group BDC is where Sarah Vantine came from, and you certainly got to train under the best BDC person in the industry. What do you feel were a couple of the lessons that really stuck with you that Sarah taught you?
She, in addition to always coach in public and coach in private and praise in public, she has really taught me to don't take things so personally, because everybody has different communication styles. Everyone has different personality style. So how they communicate with me, I need to remember, okay, this may not, it's not necessarily them being mad at me or they're more upset in the situation or they're just like very, very direct. And I used to be one of the people where I did not like people being direct. I do not like confrontation. And I still don't like confrontation to this day. But I actually appreciate people who are direct because it's straight to the point and there's no sugarcoating. And I really welcome that. And I look for feedback from other directors in other departments and ask them, is there anything that I can do to improve, or is there anything that my team can do to make things easier for you? What can I do? Or is there anything you think that could be changed? So I value input from other managers and other departments. That's one of the things that she taught me.
Yeah, that's awesome and so important. And at Quantum 5, where obviously Sarah and I both are right now, that's the big thing, right? Is understanding personality styles and being able to adapt to the personality style of the person that you're dealing with. If we were all exactly the same in this world, on top of the fact that this world would be really boring,
right?
It would make it much simpler to communicate with people because everybody would communicate the same way. But as you said, some people are very direct with their communication. Some people are indirect, and some people, depending on the mood that they're in, the way they communicate changes, right? So being able to identify those and adapt to those so that you can get the best out of the person, or to be able to get on the same level with the client that you're talking to on the phone, to be able to work through the situation with them is extremely important. Is that something that you continue to work on with your team also, is to understand the personality styles?
Yeah, so we've been working on that, and I've also been working with people like, we all in the department have different personality style and different communication styles, so we have to be mindful of what we say and how things can come across as well. And the same thing applies to customers. Like, we have customers that call in and they're just like going on and on about what they want, exactly how they want it. And and I tell them, like, don't take it the wrong way. They just know what they want and they want it done a certain way. So you kind of have to like match that communication style with them and figure out like, okay, how can I communicate with this customer? How can I make sure that I set the right expectation for their service appointment? How can I make sure that they're fully prepared and aware and what to expect? So for example, we may have a customer like, okay, my name is John Smith. I want to come in on Monday at 3:30 on the dot. I want an oil change, I want a tire rotation, and I also want to get a recall done. Can you book that for me? And obviously, we can't do an oil change, a tire rotation, and recall at 3:30 in the afternoon because the dealership closes at 7. So we have to be able to set the right expectation and kind of come up with a compromise. Say, okay, well, I can definitely get you in for just the origin contamination at 3:30. But if you want to do the recall that day, you're probably going to have to drop the car off just as a heads up, because we want to make sure that we have the right amount of time to be able to fully perform and make sure your car is safe to drive and things, and to make sure that you know that there's just something that may not be done one day. Just have that, just know up front. And a lot of times customers just want transparency. We need to be transparent with them as much as possible, and they do appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Setting that expectation up front is much better than them coming in at that day on that day, right? At 3 o'clock or 3:30, whenever they made that appointment, and thinking, okay, I'll be here for a couple hours, and then I'll head on home and have some dinner. And the service advisor is now there, standing there, telling the person, "There's no way we can get this done tonight." So,
and then they're mad at the advisor, and like, well, so and so told me on the phone, well, they didn't tell me, and then the advisor get mad at us, and it's just so important that we set up the right expectation.
Absolutely, and those expectations are, it requires you to work closely with the leaders of the service department, right? There's too often in a dealership, everything is siloed. So the BDC's in their silo, sales is in theirs, parts, the technicians, the service advisors, but really it's one integrated team, right? And so how much communication do you have with the management of the service departments that you're taking care of?
A lot. We are in constant communication with not only the manager, but also the advisor as well. And if we have a question, like a quick question, like we're not sure if this is the right answer, or we just need somebody confirming something, so we make sure the right information to the customer. And then sometimes we may have a situation where customer wants to know, for example, customer wants to know if the car can be done by the end of the business day. We cannot promise that because, again, the right expectation. So we may call the advisor manager like, hey, realistically, do you think this car will be done the same day or not? But we are in constant communication with the advisor and manager. And I think that's so important that we have that relationship so we can all help each other and trust each other and make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crucial in the running of an effective organization. And you guys are remote from those teams, so it's not like you're just popping your head out your office door and saying, "Hey, Dave, can we get this done today?" Everybody has to understand that when your team is calling down there, that it's important and that there's a question that needs to be answered or a customer that needs to be spoken to, and having that open line of communication is a lot of times the difference between an effective BDC and an ineffective BDC. And sometimes the ineffective BDC gets laid on the BDC when it's not. It's poor communication between the two departments, which might be perpetrated by the service department as opposed to the BDC. So great to know that you guys are in constant contact and making sure that you're all on the same page, which that page is taking care of the customer, right? At the end of the day, that's what we're all here to do, is to take care of our customers. What are some of the things that that you feel you do differently than maybe some other BDCs do?
So I know you mentioned earlier that a lot of times people think the BDC is just a regular call center. I'll go check to book the appointment. That's it. No more contact. A lot of people don't expect our call center to be as knowledgeable as the advisor. And some people actually think that we're just a receptionist. And they think, okay, well, I'm just going to call them and ask them a price quote. They're not going to be able to help me. They're going to have to put me on hold. They're going to have to transfer to a bunch of different departments. But that's actually not the case with our BDC. We know how to price stuff. We have access to rental. We have access to Ignite. We know how to price out things. We know what question to ask them. Say, customers say, well, my car is making a noise and I want to know how much the brake costs. And we can ask them, okay, well, you said you're having a noise. Have you had your car diagnosed? Like, do you know for sure if you need the brake replaced? It could be something simple. It could be something else. They could have something like a rock stuck in the brake caliper, and that may not even be required to have a brake replaced. And another thing is that we also know how to look up the RO history, how to explain what was done the last visit, what mileage. We know about factory recommended service, how often we're to come in. We know about safety recall. People don't expect us to know that. And I actually had, back when I was a client care coordinator, I remember I had this call from a customer who set up an appointment and he also wanted to get a rental vehicle, and he needed to call me and go, well, I need to get a rental vehicle, but you're probably gonna have to transfer me, and I know you can't book it, and you're gonna put me on hold for a long time. And I said, actually, I can book the rental for you right here and there. And he was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Like, he was just so happy that he didn't have to be put on hold. He didn't have to be transferred, but I was able to take care of him right then and there in just one phone call. And that's the misconception that people have about BDC, is that they think we can't handle things in just one phone call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think they've kind of been conditioned through other avenues that they deal with in their life, right? I had to call my health insurance provider to ask a question yesterday, and I got through to a person right away, and I was like, this is great. I'm not on hold. And then I asked the person a question, and they were like, oh, yeah, I know we can do that, but I can't help you here, so I'm going to transfer you. I was literally on hold for 34 minutes before I hung the phone up. Because I'm like, I don't know if I believe the recording that says they're going to answer it in the order it was received anymore. So I think we've been conditioned as customers that you're going to call somewhere and you're going to have to be put on hold.
Exactly.
And that's awesome that you guys have set it up in the one-stop shop, if you will, to be able to help the customer. Again, as we said, that's what we're all here for, is to build up customer satisfaction. So what do you see different in your role now as the BDC manager, as opposed to when you were part of the team?
I have a lot more responsibility as a manager, a lot more responsibility, but that's okay. I'm helping people a lot more now, and I find myself that I'm still learning. Like, there's stuff that I don't remember, stuff that I may not even know about, and the reps are actually teaching me stuff. Like, they could have find out something out from another manager. I'm like, hey, by the way, this is what happened. This is the answer to this question. I'm like, oh, okay, look at you teaching me something new. But a lot of the changes for me is just having to communicate more with other managers in other department, and having to figure out a solution with them and asking them questions. Because I remember as a client care coordinator, I was kind of afraid to ask the manager a question, because I'm like, what if they want to talk to me? I'm just a client care coordinator. I'm not a manager. I'm not on that level. So that's one of the things that I communicate more with the managers now.
That's excellent. And I love the fact that you're still learning from your team. There's a lot of good value that comes out of our teams. We certainly do not know it all. And
yes.
I said on another podcast, when we feel we do know it all, it's time to move on, because that you're in the wrong place. If that's
and
the way
I don't
you
want
feel.
people thinking that, oh, I can't tell my manager that she's wrong, or I can't correct my manager something. Like, if I'm wrong, I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I appreciate the input and the feedback, and I actually thank him. Like, thank you so much for telling me something that I did not know. Like, you taught me something new.
Yeah,
and I appreciate it.
That is a great trait to walk around with as a leader in the company, because it just builds up the trust with your team so much more. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being with us. This was an awesome conversation that I know everybody is going to listen to. Where can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you?
I am on LinkedIn, so they can reach me out on LinkedIn. And I will also be on the Fixed Op Roundtable as well, and they can reach me on there too. But LinkedIn is probably the best way to get in contact with me.
All right. Excellent. I'll make sure that I link up your profile in the show notes so people can go and have a look and see your content there. And I look forward to seeing your segment on the Fixed Ops Roundtable with Ted Ings. That will be excellent. Again, thank you for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me on here. You have a great rest of your day as well.
You too.
All right.